welcome to Haken. Wait, wrong show. What's up, Internet? You're tuned into episode 11 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Chuy, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello.
And the show police himself, Mr. Pete and Bessie.
Whoa. All right, I got, my show's getting taken over here. Now I'm getting called a cop. I don't know how I feel about this. I know it's a big Animal Crossing week, but oh boy. I feel like it's been a hostile takeover over here,
That's what happens. You mess with Tom Nook and he just buys all your land.
Had the show bought right out from under me. Well, of course, this is a big Animal Crossing week. I didn't get my dues into Mr. Nook, so I guess, I've got some work to do before I can be the host of the show again. But before I turn it back over to Chuy this week, I guess I'll take you through the rest of the plugs. We'll just make sure it's a nice seamless transition. So allow me to remind you that this episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of October, Christian Oliveria. Christian, real sorry that all of your comments have been getting lost to Patreon. So I'm going to use this as a PSA opportunity. If you are one of our Patreon supporters and you've written in on Patreon and we haven't read one of your comments, it's because Patreon is marking it as spam, not because we're ignoring you. So if you ever submit a comment and we don't read it, send us a message somewhere else so we can confirm what's going on there, because got to make sure that we get those questions in. Thank you so much, Christian, for bringing it to our attention. And I hope nobody else has been having that problem. Of course, the rest of them, we got Christopher Valenz, a.k.a. That Dot Guy, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Asobi, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all are realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support over there. Speaking of, if you want to get some more content from us, head over to the Patreon where you can get access to One More Thing, our Patreon exclusive show where we keep the conversation rolling about stuff outside the world of video games. This past week, Steve and I talked a little bit about New York Comic Con and me going to see John Mulaney do some stand up in Philadelphia. So it was a good conversation. And you can get links to all of the rest of our stuff, including our sister show, Flip Screen Games podcast, our Twitch streams, our Twitter, our Discord, all those cool things over at flipscreen.games. That's our website, our one-stop shop for all the places that we are on the web. And of course, if you want to write in and have your thoughts read on the air, just like a ton of you did this week for this Animal Crossing themed episode, you can hit us up at questions@flipscreen.games, join the Discord, or hit us up on our weekly Twitter thread. Okay, that's enough shilling for now. The police are, we're I don't know what police do when they go away. We're going back to the station to eat donuts or whatever the fuck cops do. So Chewy, it's all you, baby.
They should do that more. I mean,
just get out of here.
Give us a break. Okay. Nintendo dropped a direct 23-ish minutes of Animal Crossing stuff. They originally said 20, so we got 3 extra minutes. I'm
Liars!
That. They are liars. So the big thing here going in was everybody was expecting to see Brewster. We didn't quite know what was going to happen, but they went all out. I literally have this list in front of me here of everything they added, and there's really too much. So I think we'll just go through it and talk about the most important things that were added here. So first thing, of course, they showed off was Brewster and then Cap'n. Just some returning characters, basically, that haven't been in this game quite yet. Brewster gives us coffee. Cap'n takes us to these mysterious islands, and it's going to be cool.
And he sings his sea shanties. I love Cap'n. I'm so glad he's back.
Yeah,
I was surprised he was back. I kind of thought that the Mystery Island tours with Dodo Airlines had kind of replaced him, but I'm glad to see him return.
Yeah, it's a really confusing thing. This is going to be like half-priced Mystery Island tours, basically, because they showed the price was like 1,000 Nook miles instead of 2,000 that it takes for the Nook mile tickets. And the other good thing here is you don't have to go through that redemption machine to scan them over and over again, or I guess redeem them. It's so slow. It's so slow. And now we can just go on these mystery islands, and they're like, there's different season ones, different times of day, different things that basically give you better access to materials that are probably out of season. That's basically the goal here. Yeah, there's going to be vines too, that I'm really excited about. I want to climb up and down those things. But the next thing they went over was actually, I think, one of the biggest game changers for this, and it's that Harv's Island that nobody goes to at the moment. It's finally going to be relevant in this game. They're expanding it. Harriet has moved in. She is helping him revamp the place. There's going to be little trailers that you're going to buy or build up. And all of these other special characters that used to be in rotation seem like they're going to end up here. So you can see them pretty regularly. So that's people like Kix, Leaf, Red, basically all the ones that are in that like plaza rotation, you know? The big
That's
one
huge.
here
I love
is
that.
yeah, the big one's definitely red because I know the biggest complaint you see about this rotation is that people don't see red enough and they really want the art, you know? Now it seems like he's going to be there all the time, basically. I imagine they'll give him like a weekly rotation of items, so that might be a little bit of a bummer that you can't get everything all at once, but I mean, who knows? We haven't played through it yet. Yeah, the other big thing here is that we're getting a bunch of returning characters as well. Things like we already saw Harriet, but we're getting Tortimer, we're getting Katrina, we're getting Reese and Cyrus. Reese and Cyrus are huge for this just because they're going to let us customize items that we couldn't customize before. And it's going to make this whole system even more confusing considering like we have this customization thing that we can already do, but there's certain items that we can't customize, so we have to take others that we can't customize to Reese and Cyrus, and they're going to do it for us, and it's going to cost money. I don't know. It's kind of
Is it
confusing.
is it mainly like the Nook Mile items that you can take to Reese and Cyrus? Because it looked like, say, the lighthouse. I think they showed us the
Right.
example in the
Mhm.
presentation, and I'm pleased about that because it was a nightmare trying to find people who
Mhm.
were willing to trade if you wanted a specific aesthetic on your island, because it was kind of lucky dip depending on what you got in terms of like what color is my lighthouse going to be, what specific model do I get, that kind of thing. I hope that it kind of unlocks everything now to people who don't necessarily want to interact with other people or don't know many people with Animal Crossing. I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, and the other thing is like there's some people who don't even have online, so they can't really like easily go to some other place and trade with
Yeah.
someone, you know? I don't know if it's strictly just the Nook Mile items that we can redeem, but I imagine it'll be both those and the items that you purchase that, you know, your store only has one color swatch for these items, and I imagine you'll be able to get the other ones like this too.
Oh, so like if I got the suitcase full of gold, but I wanted the suitcase full of money instead, I could go and swap it out maybe with them.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I imagine they'll do both of those things, and that's honestly going to be a big one for people. Tortimer's there. He doesn't do too much, but I think it will be a little bit more convenient having him there. Basically, he gives you access to your in-home storage from that island, from Harv's Island. So that'll mean that you can grab items straight from your storage, get them customized, put them back in, and kind
Right.
of do that whole process a lot more
That's
quickly.
cool.
I
Yeah,
love how
instead
many
of
updates there are that like seem to be focused on that as a concept of just like there's
Mhm.
like that little locker that they said you can place anywhere on the island, like they're
Yeah, I
expanding
liked
your
that. And the
storage.
Yeah,
ATM as well that
Yeah,
you could have outside now. It doesn't have to just be inside the town hall anymore. Um, it's not called the town hall anymore, is it?
resident
Uh,
services.
Yeah, resident services. I love this though in terms of a concept, Harvest Island. It gives me something to do. I've kind of got my island where I want it to be, and now that I've got a reason to collect resources again and fund another expansion on a totally different island, totally different place to get the stores I want. And I'm hoping I can configure it and make it look like what I want as well. I don't know what level of customization you've got in terms of where you can place things. Like, can I make it, like look like a city folk style, little plaza, or is it just this is where they go and you're just funding them because Harvest decided these are where the shops go in?
Yeah, I've been really wondering about that. I need to take a closer look at the trailer, but I do think they're probably kind of in a fixed space, but there might be like one space that is in rotation because like quick glance, I counted the spaces and I was like, all right, those are all like accounted for, but where does Katrina go when she happens? Like we've seen her there. And so it kind of makes me wonder if there's other characters that are going to be in rotation that we don't know about. But yeah, I'm not sure. I have to look a lot more closely and just really dissect it and go like, oh, okay, I know where everybody is going to be exactly. But
Yeah.
it does seem like they're going to be mostly fixed.
It would be nice to have some other characters, maybe if they're related to events, because I know they've said this is the last kind of major content update. But I would
Hmm.
hope that there's still some events coming that they've planned alongside this 2.0 update that we haven't got yet, because there's still some events from the older games that haven't made it into New Horizons, right?
Yeah, yeah, there's several. Basically, every game has like a little unique holiday that isn't shared between the others, but yeah, I think I would be interested in that for sure.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I thought was like interesting about this is how much of it is just like bringing back old features and slightly modifying them. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's like I feel like Animal Crossing and Pokemon are both so good at that of just like, okay, here's the new thing this generation, and then you'll never see it ever again. Okay, bye bye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it was nice to see a lot of this stuff come back, but yeah, it is like weird when you have that just that thought of like, why did all this stuff get removed? Like, why aren't you continuing to roll this stuff out? You know?
Well, like ordinances, for example. Like I know a
Hmm.
bunch of people at launch were complaining, like, I work all day and I come back and there's no one around on my island because they've all gone to bed, and it's just like, yeah, I know, and it sucks because we used to have this thing where you could choose whether your villagers were like night owls or if they were awake in the morning and they kind of fit around your schedule, and you've now got that again, and combine that with Brewster where you could potentially walk in alongside this ordinance that you've set, and there's actually going to be interactions with villagers. I feel like they've answered a lot of the complaints that we've had, at least on this show, and I know amongst other people that love Animal Crossing, which was the villagers are here, but they don't do anything and they don't really interact and they don't really talk to you. It seems like there's going to be a lot more of that. I'm really excited to be able to see more people around when I'm actually playing the game.
Well, and like they had like the villagers being able to like visit you, you being able to go visit them. Like those are
Oh
not
yeah, I
Hmm.
forgot about
new
that. That was so
things,
cool.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But they're new to New Horizons, so that is cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, both of those things. The ordinances, I'm kind of wondering how they'll play out. The beautiful ordinance doesn't seem completely necessary to me anymore because flowers like don't die anymore. In New Leaf in the past, it was like you had to actively spend time watering your flowers, otherwise they were going to be gone in the morning.
Yeah.
But this one, I'm just like, I don't know what the benefits are there. But the obvious one benefits are early bird and night owl, which give people with different schedules a way to play the game normally. I
Hmm.
always told people like, I guess, you just play at a different time. You set your clock in a way that fits your schedule. And then that's just how you play the game. But now that they don't have to, it's going to be a lot better for people who want to like experience the real time aspect to the game. And then hanging out with residents is huge for sure. So many people have been asking for like new types of interactions with villagers, new dialogue with the villagers, and I think that's going to add a lot of that to it and make it feel a little bit more of that like life sim that people were missing from this game.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So some other new things they added like group stretching, another little activity. I'm tempted to do that like every morning. It's basically these little exercises that are done in
Yeah.
Japan, and it does use like motion controls and stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna lock in and
That's-
do that.
I want to know though, does that little box sit on the plaza forever? Is it just there cluttering up, or is it gone at like 10 a.m.?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to know as well. I do know you can invite friends though to do the
Yeah.
stretching with you though, so
So we're gonna
something to
do a
do
Twitch
online.
stream, yeah, of stretching.
A weird,
You
really
joke,
weird
but I
thing
don't
to go
know.
on.
It might be time. It might be time to bring back the Animal Crossing,
Oh
weekday
yeah,
Animal
streams.
absolutely.
Crossing February, Ring Fit February.
Animal
Yeah.
Crossing
I
January.
I'm totally into Animal Crossing again after this. I mean, I know there's some other stuff we're gonna touch on, like 11 new KK Slider songs. Like, why weren't these here at launch? I love the fact that there's brand new KK
No.
Slider
He's
songs
got a new
now.
album out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
11 new singles.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. We talked about it with the OLED stuff a couple weeks ago, where I'm like, oh, I have to see if I can like still transfer my island. Like, I might have accidentally deleted my island. That might have happened.
Did you
So
did you
Oh
wipe your
yeah.
old Switch?
I didn't wipe it, but I transferred everything over to this Switch, and I don't know if it.
Oh, no, it'll still be there. You just need to go and download the like Animal Crossing transfer app or something, Island transfer app or something.
Fingers
It's called
crossed,
from the
baby.
eShop.
Otherwise, I
Yeah.
guess I'm starting fresh.
I'd be
Yeah, and even
devastated.
then, I mean, they gave us like cloud backups in some way. So
Yeah.
even if it is completely gone, I imagine you'd be able to like call Nintendo support and get
Yeah.
it.
That's true. I should
Just
have
cry.
something.
Just cry on the phone and tell them
Please,
hours,
Mr. Nintendo.
Yeah,
hundreds of hours of my life are now lost.
I'll never
they
feel
always give you
joy
this big
again.
thing like, oh, we can only do this for you once, and then it's never gonna happen again. I don't know. They're weird with their online data. I don't get it. So yeah, I guess other just keep going through here. We've got some new Nook Mile redemptions, and these are going to be a mix of like new items that we can redeem and new, I guess, abilities, you could call them. Some of those will include stuff like increasing your bridge and incline limit from 8 to 10,
Oh, is that a
unlocking.
Nook Mile thing? I thought that was through like just going and paying Tom Nook some more cash. But I'm glad that that's like a Nook Mile thing. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's something you redeem as well as like the pro designer thing that adds ceiling items as well as accent walls. So using like wallpaper on a single wall instead of the entire room, you know? Uh, all of this stuff is going to be things that you like redeem with miles. And personally, this is something I feel has been needed for a long time just because I have played the game for so long. I have 600,000 Nook Mile or
Oh
Nook
my
points or
god.
whatever they're
You've
called.
got to be turning those into tickets and buying shit on Nookazon, Chewy.
Well, I
That's
have
what
all
everyone
the
does with it, you
amiibo
know.
cards too,
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't need these Nook Mile tickets. I'm not gonna sit here for hours redeeming them. I would like new items, preferably. So this one for me is just like, I've really liked this whole Nook Miles concept. I feel like it's a fun way to give yourself little tasks to do throughout the game. I've been trying hard to complete all of those major Nook Mile things. I think I have 8 left, and
Oh
they're
my
they're like
god.
really long. Yeah, they're like catch 5,000 fish and 5,000 bugs. It's gonna take me forever. But now I'm just like, sweet, there's stuff to buy. And not only that, like it mixes in really well with Reese and Cyrus coming back, where all of these new things that I get, there's also all of the customizations that I can do with these items
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, for me, I'm just like, I'm ready to spend 600,000 Nook miles.
That's
Um,
cool. I
I
was really excited, but like if the home stuff is linked to it as well, like
mhm,
remodeling other villagers' homes, so I don't have because I've still got some of the original villagers, the ones where you build their houses and you end up with the ugly stuff. I've
mhm.
still got them, so I can't wait to make those houses look nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a huge feature that comes back. Let's see. The other thing that's happening is cooking, and not only are we going to be able to cook, we're going to be able to like plant some new crops and do some new things with the land that we have. I have always wanted some more like greenery, some more farming stuff to make, and this
Yeah.
one is just like really cool. Specifically, what's really cool about it to me is that like they gave us a list of crops that are coming and then they said and more. And so for me, I'm just like, please let there be seasonal crops, ones that only
Yeah.
grow in the spring, summer, winter, fall, all of those. And because I feel like that's one aspect that's been slowly getting eroded in Animal Crossing, and it's like season specific things. Just over time, they're like, oh, maybe some people play for a couple months and get their fill, and they don't experience a whole year of this game. And so they tend to like make as much as possible accessible to players, but other things I'm just like, oh, I'm really excited to see this new season and see all these new
Mm.
happenings. So
You,
crops
Yeah.
you
is
got
one
it
that
with
goes that way.
you got it with the fish and the bugs, I guess. That was really the kind
Hmm.
of most exciting thing. But I love this as someone who loves like farming games like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon and things like that. I
Hmm.
was so excited to get uh crops and then cooking, and the idea that you can learn what the villagers like and cook for them and give them gifts of the food. I think it's so cool. Or you can invite them around for a meal. I just love that as a concept. I think it's so cool. And I think I'm gonna have to reassess the layout of my island because I kind of now I've put my house up on the top left. There's like a little on my island anyway, like a little peninsula out into the
Hmm.
ocean. I kind of want now a little farmhouse with like plants and like a fence around that I can now customize the fence to look different, so I don't just have to have the same picket fence that everyone else has.
Yeah.
And I can have like my pumpkins and all sorts of stuff growing. And the wheat. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna look really cool.
Yeah, I think my one concern is I hope that it feels like a system that's like worth engaging with. I think that's like my primary concern is like when they were showing all that stuff and it's like, oh, like there'll be all these different options and you'll be able to cook all these different recipes, and it's just like I hope that there is incentive to do those beyond just like filling out the recipe booklet, because like you brought up
Hmm.
something like, a Stardew Valley or something like that, right? And I feel like so much of that comes down to, you know, whatever goal you're trying to achieve in the game, right? Whether it's like I'm trying to fill out the community center, so I need to grow this certain vegetable, or I'm trying to advance my relationship with this person and they really like this dish, so I cook it for them all the time. And, like, or I'm trying to make money, so I'm trying to maximize which crops have the best returns. And like, there's all these strategic elements to why you would cook certain things or why you would grow certain things in those kinds of games. And I'm hoping that, that there's something to it there, right? Where it can be leveraged to have, different unique interactions with villagers, or that, there is some kind of reward at the end of that, that journey, I guess, right? Otherwise, I'm worried that, it'll be a thing where I'm like, okay, like this is cool, but is there a point for me to do it aside from just filling out, a checklist?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And honestly, though, I do kind of think it's probably more like here's a cool new food item that you can use to
Yeah.
decorate with. Um, they did show that the food, when you eat it, it gives you extra energy, and that's only beneficial to people who really need to like move a lot of trees or destroy some rocks.
Right.
And not a lot of people are in those types of projects at the moment. I mean, they possibly could be based on like what is being added and people thinking, "Oh, I can totally rework my island now to do some things that I wanted to." But
Well, I wonder
overall,
if it plays in with like the new excursions with Captain or what's going on at Halves Island. Maybe you need more energy to do some stuff in those places. It might
mhm,
just not be on your island, but yeah, I don't think at least now. Like if you go into this now fresh as someone new who's never played Animal Crossing and you pick it up on the 2.0 update, I think
mhm,
planting crops and growing them out and cooking probably early in the game probably is beneficial because you are going to be getting rid of trees, getting rid of rocks, moving things around.
mhm.
So it probably is beneficial for people who are new to the game, but for people like us who've played hundreds of hours, or probably in Chewy's case thousands, it's probably not worthwhile.
Yeah, and that said, I have seen like a lot of people with the sentiment of restarting when this update hits, like just
I
starting
thought about
completely
that.
fresh.
I just
Yeah.
can't because I remember how long it took me to get the millions of bells I have, and I
Hmm.
know that if I restart, I won't experience any of the new things that are being added to the game. I just won't get there. I'll fall off before I get to that point.
Yeah, and collecting all those DIYs again, such a pain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that was the thing when I was thinking about restarting my island. I was gonna like spend time going to Sarah's island and dumping all my stuff there, and then coming and getting it back with my new character, so I would have all my stuff, but reset the progression. But I don't know. I don't really
And
want to
that's a
do that.
5-hour project right there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like I don't want to go through all that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Then well, you can't go to other people's islands straight away either, can you?
No.
Is it like the second or third day that you finally are
Yeah.
able to go?
hmm
There's really
That's
very
why they
little steel
invented
on that.
time travel.
Yeah, there's very little still in that first. I wish it was easier. I really do. I wish there was an in-game time travel option. Like when you boot the game up, do you want to play this in real time, or do you want to be able to like skip the clock and jump back and forth? I think it would be so much simpler for people who just want to min-max Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I mean, they used to ask you at the beginning, they'd say the time is whatever on this day. Is that right? And then you could be like, no, it's not. Let me change it real quick. But even then, that was from like the menu before you actually load into the game. So there's never been a real time, non-time consuming way to time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess outside of this, we got the new fences you mentioned earlier. The big thing here is that we also can customize the fences, and that's big. I remember so many people saying, "Where's those white picket fences we saw in the very first trailer?"
Yeah.
And Nintendo has finally added them.
It's
Yeah.
premium
I was really
content,
happy about that.
guys. Yeah, we had to wait on that one.
I'm
Premium.
fine
It's
to wait.
good.
Do you know what though? Like, would you have preferred a big fat update with all of this in one go, or would you have rather they like dripped and drabbed it throughout the last 2 years?
Well, it's tough because I remember when we initially talked about this, you know, like when the game was newer, um, I did feel like I wanted it drip fed to me because I wanted consistent things to be happening, so I would keep coming back and stay engaged. But we all know how the pandemic went, and I played like 200
Mhm.
hours of this game in like a very, very short amount of time. And I think a lot of people did that and just kind of mainlined it and got what they were going to get out of it and may never come back to it, you know? I'd like to think that I will. I don't know that I will. I'm going to try, but we'll see. I don't know if I'll get back in a rhythm with it like I did at launch. So if this had all come out, you know, 2-3 months after launch, that would have probably been pretty cool. That might have kept me on the hook a little bit longer, but you know, it is
I
what it
think
is.
their strategy wouldn't have been 2 3 months. I mean, you had swimming that got added, and there were a bunch of other things that they just slowly added. I mean, you got red coming into the game that wasn't there at launch. I think this could have been like a strategy over 18 to 24 months of every couple of months. Let's just add something new. Like, let's add Brewster in, let's add Captain in, let's add cooking in now. Let's bring back ordinances. But they obviously made like a strategic decision at some point, which was let's just bundle all this together. They probably got to a point with an update where they were adding so much content that they were just like, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going until yeah. They probably knew they had the DLC in the works and they were just like, let's just keep going and launch it both at the same time. Like, why not at this point?
Oh, man, too much content at the same time.
That
But I'm
is
happy about
crazy,
it.
right? Like it's like why are these so close together? Like
It's the same day. It's on the same
Same
day. They
day.
launched
Yeah,
together.
that's so
It's
same
weird,
exact day.
crazy.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, personally though, I think it, it was a good call to drop it all because it definitely I noticed the drop in content from basically March this year. The summer update, the spring update, they're both really small, just a couple new items, some returning events and things. So this one, it feels like it was time to just really go all out, drop all the things that were planned, and doing it all at once, I think is better because I think people every update were like, there was some new stuff, but it was fine.
Yeah.
And this
This is
one,
more
I
exciting.
yeah, I don't think people are gonna come out of this
No
one
way.
like that. They're
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Oh man, I've got to play for a couple more months now
Yeah,
to
it was like a
experience
mic
this."
drop moment, wasn't it? It was like, oh, you said there's no content for Animal Crossing, we haven't been adding anything. Boom, check out all of this shit we're adding into the game for free.
Yeah, yeah, like we're still in the free stuff here. A couple small things that were added. There was the Pro Camera app, just some new angles and things you could do. I was briefly terrified that there's going to be like a VR mode because I never bought the Labo VR. And I was like, if I can't experience Animal Crossing in VR, what's the point of life right now?
I think they're done with adding those because it doesn't work with the OLED Switch or the Switch Lite at this point.
I think they're done making Labo at the moment. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
I don't think they
sad.
have any plans for it. So, yeah.
They
We're
made their
good.
money on cardboard. They're good. They're like
So much money on cardboard. Paper for paper. The next thing was some custom design patterns that we used to only be able to customize with. Now they're just accessible in our custom design catalog, the little app. Some new hairs
By
and
the way, but I
hairstyles.
want to talk about the design patterns for a second
Oh
because
yeah,
I need
sure.
to shout out your Haken co-host Nina's incredible thread on Twitter. And I don't know if you've seen this, Pete. She is doing all of Noel Fielding's outfits from Bake Off as patterns
Yes.
that you can download within Animal Crossing.
That's
It's incredible.
amazing.
You know the one he wore with the smiley faces the other week? I'm
Yeah.
downloading that one as
Yeah.
soon as I get back in this game, and I'm
that's-
going to be Noel Fielding with smiley faces.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. You'll have to invite her for one more thing one day just to go
Oh
all
yeah, so
Yes.
we can go
on
all
Bake
Oh
Off.
about
my
Bake
god.
Off. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
watches so much of it. But
Good.
yeah,
It's great.
Slam dunk. Yeah, we have to do that.
yeah, she made a bunch of his sweaters last year, and so she's been waiting for this new season specifically to just make all of the new outfits.
I'll find the link and I'll put it in the show notes or in the description on YouTube for anyone that's interested.
I love
Yeah, it's
that.
great. The other thing is this new little app called Island Life 101. It seems like it's definitely aimed at people who are new to the game, people who've just picked it up. I think they figured there's so much stuff in here now, it'll be good to give new players just a quick refresher on all the things you can do. So, yeah, just a cute little thing. I'm sure I'll read through it because it'll have little art and, I don't know, dialogue you never see. So, I'll look through it. Music boxes. This is I'm kind of wondering if we're going to be able to craft these, customize them, because I think we saw like one that's a shell music box and another that's like just a wooden music box. It's just a cute little version of a KK Slider song. I like those a lot. They were in New Leaf as shell items, but now they're
That's cool.
coming
I
back.
love that every KK Slider song, including the 11 new ones, has a specific variant that
Yeah.
plays within a music box. It's so cool.
Yeah, they have, I think that'll be like a third variant of every KK Slider song now. And honestly, after seeing that announcement specifically, I bought the whole Animal Crossing New Horizons soundtrack that's like 7 CDs of everything that's in there. And now I'm just
Now you
like,
need the
great.
8th CD.
Now, yeah, exactly. I'm like, I need the eighth one with these new tracks and all of the all of the music box versions of them. It's man, I hope they come out with that. All right, this next one is one that people have been wanting back for a very long time. Gyroids.
Hell yeah.
They're completely revamped in this game. I love
The
them.
customizable
too.
bit
They
was
were so
very
weird.
cool. That's such a neat thing.
Yeah, I did not expect them to be customizable at all, so that was a really nice surprise for that. And I I'm one of those people who's just like, look, I've played Animal Crossing for so long now. It's been 4 games. If they bring stuff back, it needs to look new. There's so many like items and stuff where I'm just like, this just doesn't look as good as it did back in 2001. I think it needs an update. So the gyroid
You mean like
specifically,
Froggy Chair? Are you calling Froggy Chair out and saying that it
Froggy
doesn't
Chair
look as
doesn't need a
good?
change. That was not a problem.
Froggy Chair is
That's fine then.
iconic, Steve.
Yeah, Froggy Chair's an icon. Stay the way you are, Froggy Chair. But the gyroids, like, they started looking just kind of like a little bit lumpy, a little gritty, especially in New Leaf, where, you know, the resolution's a lot lower. So everything getting this HD makeover is just really nice. And the gyroids, the sounds are going to be incredible, and the looks are going to be incredible.
Thing is, I'm gonna get so annoyed now when I dig and it's a fossil and not a
Yes.
gyroid because I don't want fossils anymore. I need gyroids, and I know it's gonna happen all the time.
Yeah, just wait for those rainy days. That's when they're gonna pop up most.
I'll call everyone over to my island. It's raining.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just rename my island to England because it always rains there, and
True.
everyone can just come over there.
True. They haven't added a rename island option yet, unless I don't know.
No, I know it's sad. Mine's forever called Brownland, and I regret that decision.
I don't remember what I called mine. I'll have to update the flag though. I think I still have the loot pot symbol. I have to get the flip screen.
I do too. Yeah.
The TV.
Yeah, I'm gonna make the TV.
I think it was Jetpack.
Oh, Jetpack. Yeah, you're right.
It was.
Jetpack
Yeah.
Island.
Yeah. I was like, I think I know this. All right. The next thing I thought was huge was new items at Nook's Cranny. Sometimes I don't even go in to Nook's Cranny at this point,
Yeah,
just
it's like,
because I'm
what's the
like,
point? Yeah.
I've seen everything. I don't need to buy any more of it. I've bought it all. It was very rare that I'd see something that I'm like, huh, I don't think I've bought this before. Let me pick that up. That's like once in a blue moon. But now I'm just like, I'm going to Nook's Cranny every day. If I have new items, I'm buying them right away. I'm going to go steal stuff from other people's shops. It's so much incentive to go in now.
Yeah, did you see that gamer like setup that they had as one of the items?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did with like the fucking 6 screens. I was like, oh, I need this.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
was like, this is way better than my now new 2-screen setup. Previously only
I
one
know.
until last week. So, I need 4 more screens here.
Steve, once you have
Yeah, I'll
once
send
you
you-
have 2, you're like, I gotta go full Minority Report, right? Like, how
Yeah.
many screens can I shove on a wall?
It's just the gateway to
Yeah.
All of
screens.
them. Yeah. I need that. I'll send you a pic of my setup and Animal Crossing that setup.
I gotta say though, I was a little bit disappointed we didn't see any more upgrades for Nook's Cranny. I think I would have liked it if some of these items came with like another tier upgrade to it. Maybe there's an upstairs or something where there's like unique items, that kind of thing. It was a little bit disappointing when everything else is seemingly got new exteriors and new upgrades and things like that. That Nook's Cranny was like the one singled out that doesn't get a look in on an upgrade.
Yeah, I think Able Sisters too kind of falls in that as well. Yeah, neither of them. I mean, at least they didn't mention if they were getting upgraded. Maybe they'd surprise us, but I kind of doubt it at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Able
it-
Sisters, the one thing I want in Able Sisters is not being told I have to take my clothes off or like my magic wand outfit or my swim costume or any of that stuff when I go in the changing rooms. It's like, just do it for me. I know I'm going in the changing rooms to try clothes on. It's fine. You can just take my
Okay.
outfit off. It's no problem.
Just undress me for me. Come on.
Yeah, just do it. It's fine.
The next one is the ladder setup kit. This was a nice little random thing thrown in. I think this is nice because there have always been kind of methods around river bridge placements. Like if you used 8 bridges, didn't matter. You can make a convenient little skipping stone that you could hop across, you know?
Right.
Cliffs were not like that. Basically, once you were out of inclines, you had to make them as efficient and accessible as possible in order to get up and down those cliffs or carry a ladder with you. So this is a nice little workaround. I actually saw a couple different styles. We saw one style that had like a few different customizations,
Yeah.
and then there was a second style that had like a couple different customizations as well that didn't look quite like that wooden ladder. It was more like metal pegs in a cliff.
Oh, that's
It was
cool. I'm really looking forward to it. There's so many options now open to you. You can have like a little mountain area that's sort of out of the way. I thought about doing like an archaeological dig and putting some of my fossils outside and having like a little ladder down into it because that wasn't something that was possible before. Like you would have to
Yeah.
get your ladder out to go down. And now to have it, I think it would look so cool. Like a little Jurassic Park area.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And then the vines kind of work the same as well, where you can
Can you add
place them
those
up
to
against the cliff.
your? You can add those to your island. They're not just on the excursions.
No, there's a scene where the character picks it up, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming you can
Oh,
pick them
that's
up, take them
awesome.
with you. Yeah,
That's awesome.
it
Full on
looks
Indiana Jones then, up in the cliffs on my island.
yeah, for sure. It's gonna look so good. Jackie's especially excited for those vines because she has a nice little jungle area, and she has a Jurassic Park area actually. So a little
Oh,
place with that ladder.
nice.
Yeah, perfect for her place.
I love that.
And then the last one's just like a little convenience thing. This was a feature that was in Happy Home Designer but didn't make it in. Basically, you can just squeeze through tight places. You put your little booty in between and just walk on by. um,
It makes
I think
sense. Like moving on to the kind of next section of what it, because I could have wrapped up there, right? And we'd have been super happy and it would have been fine. But the fact that they then went on and showed us some paid DLC. After
Hmm.
you kind of link that in, it kind of makes sense why some of this stuff is in this update linked with Happy Home
Yeah.
Paradise, because it's like, oh, we've got ceiling fixtures and we've got accent walls and we've got shuffling in between tight spaces, and all of this stuff was in Happy Home Designer and now it's in New Horizons. So it kind of makes sense, but it's a little bit strange why it wasn't there at launch. Like, it would have been cool to buy light fixtures from Nook's Cranny or craft them at
Hmm.
launch, but you know, I'll take it now.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess this takes us into that Happy Home Paradise DLC. So this is the first paid DLC for Animal Crossing, probably the last for a while, who knows, but it's going to be 25 bucks. It's awesome. It's a game within a game. I know, I feel like Pete, you've said you like games within games. So you can game while you game, you know?
It's perfect.
This Yeah, it's perfect. So basically, you're going to be a resort developer. You're going to be designing villager homes. You can redesign their homes later on. Villagers can move in and be roommates. That was a surprise I didn't see coming. And you can also design some town facilities. So it's a lot of like the
That was
same
the
type of,
coolest thing for me, was the
yeah.
facilities, like building out a school or building out a hospital. Do you know,
Hmm.
because I never played Happy Home Designer, does it tell you what facility it is, or is it just like this is a shared facility space and you have free reign to go? Today, I want to build a restaurant, because they showed like a Chinese restaurant that was being built.
Yeah, so basically there are facilities that tell you like, oh, this is going to be a hospital, this is going to be a school. But I mean, it's not really forced on you. Like you can make things different things. I think later on in the game there are maybe one or two buildings where it's just a free for all. You can do whatever you like, but I think for the most part they tell you like, oh, this is the intention of this building, and you can do that or
I mean,
not.
my worry would be that I made a Chinese restaurant and then all the villagers came in and started talking about being sick or surgery or whatever, while they're having their nice chow mein at the table.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I
But we
mean,
needed a
that's definitely
hospital, you
something that'll
monster.
happen. Food will make you feel better.
That is true.
That's how I feel. It just makes me feel better. But yeah, the cool thing here is that we've got some exclusive design tricks that are going to be added through this feature. There's going to be changing room dimensions, changing curtains, lighting, adding a soundscape, and then using partition walls, counters, and columns, and then polishing some furniture that you have. And at first I was confused about the polishing, I'll say, because I was like, what happened? But at a closer look, I was like, oh, it made this item more sparkly. It made this plant have butterflies fly
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
around it.
liked
So,
that. I thought it was cool. And the fact that you can do that once you unlock this in the Happy Home Paradise, you can do all of this in your own home apart from the room dimensions. I think that's the one thing
yeah.
you can't do, which I was a little bit saddened by, because I would have liked to
Hmm.
make some of my rooms bigger or some of my rooms smaller. But the partition walls is a game changer. It's so cool. I already
Yeah.
know I'm turning one of my. I think I'm going to turn my attic into like a studio, and it's going to have one side that's like a stage and like an area with like a camera and stuff, and then the other side's going to be
Yeah.
like a production side
I was
with
thinking
like a
about doing
console,
that
stuff like
too.
that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool. I'm really looking forward to it. And it was interesting because, as we'll get onto, this DLC is included as part of Switch Online. You still get these features once you've unlocked them, even if your Switch Online, like I guess year
Expires.
it expires. You still get to retain them. All of these features, when you add them to your home, you get to keep them.
That's
It
cool.
doesn't take them away.
Hmm.
I imagine they'd have
Yeah,
to do it
yeah.
that way. That would be kind of ridiculous. Like, just I imagine that would be like a nightmare coding wise, right? Of like,
Yeah, it's like, well, now all of a sudden your house no longer has pillars or shiny
yeah,
things or counters or any of this stuff you've
boop.
added. It's just an empty home. And it's like,
Yeah.
you need to pay us another $50 a year if you'd like to keep this, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be really weird.
all those things are really cool. Like, I'm very much into the added depth of option. I think the only thing I was bummed about was that like some of the roommates and the town facility stuff, those being things that you can only do on the resort island. I was like, man, like It would be
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh, it would have
cool
been cool,
if we
yeah.
could do that on our main island. Like if you could designate, we're going to do a public works and we're going to build a school or a hospital or another thing or whatever. And you could make like these kinds of spaces where the villagers would go and have interactions with each other and just more things to make that, like a lot of people I feel like built like a downtown area on their island, right? Where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, here's where all the shops are and this is where
I did
everybody.
that, yeah. I have a pizzeria with an arcade on top. It's all outdoors, and it would be cool if you could go inside and it
Right.
was, welcome to Chuck E. Cheese. It would be great.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame that they have those things built in now, but I can't do them on my island,
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is I would love to have more ability to like give cultural centers on the island, right? Like where people could go and
Mm-hmm.
hang out and do things.
It's
Yeah,
got to
for
just be a
sure.
space thing, right? Because the fact that they've had to put stuff on Harv's Island, they just can't fit it on your island. There's got to be some kind of memory restriction or some reason for it, because otherwise, why not? Yeah, I'd give up a villager to have a shared facility that I could just do what I wanted with.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on there. I think they've restricted how many buildings can go on the island, specifically just to keep the game running
Yeah.
smoothly. Yeah. We need a stronger system, Nintendo. Come on. The though we don't get to design a lot of those facilities on our place, it is really cool that we get our residents new homes there, both like on the island in Happy Home Paradise, but also we can come back and redecorate their homes on your own island. So anybody who's got like one of those first 5 homes where it's just like a little bit of a junk setting,
Yeah, mine's
you
horrible.
can fix those up and give them some real personality, you know?
I've slowly
Yeah.
been booting them out, but one of them, I can't remember who it was, I wanted to keep. And I was like, I don't want to have to try and find you again or buy an amiibo card with you on. So I just kept it, even though the house looks horrible.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and then outside of that, we got some exclusive currency in the game that'll give us some new items, and then just some online
I love
sharing
that as a
features.
concept though. Like the way you get to this is in game. It's not like a separate menu, like say Bowser's Fury was. There was like, would you want to play Animal Crossing or do you want to play Happy Home Paradise? It's you go on, you go to the airline. It's like I want to go to work, and it's like, oh, I'm actually
Yeah.
working and I'm getting paid for this now. Unlike Tom Nook, who loaned me money, then made me work, and then made me pay him back.
All
It's
right,
like,
Steve, let's not give
come
them
on.
too much rope here because this is essentially a corporation town where they pay you in a proprietary money that you can only spend at their
Oh
store.
yeah, that
So
is
I'm not giving them
which
too
is
much
illegal.
credit, okay?
That is illegal, but it's fine in Animal Crossing.
It's a corporation railroad town.
That's all you need.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
watching this whole thing with Macaulay, and Macaulay was like, "What is this current? That's not bells. Why have you got to buy it with that?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. You've got to buy it with this, and then you can then buy the item again at home with real money. You don't just get it. It's you've got to buy it again at home."
True. True. And then the last thing, I don't know why they kept this for last, but there are 48 new amiibo cards that are coming. There's going to be 24 special characters in the set and 24 villagers. I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who's collected these in the past, this set is going to be a pain because in North America, the packs come with 6 cards. Every pack has 1 special character and 5 villagers. That's going to remain the same here because I've seen the packaging. It's going to be that. So basically, you have to buy 24 packs to get every single special
At least,
character.
right? Because if you're probably gonna have repeats in that.
Yeah, you're going to have repeats. I know from experience. So basically, these special characters are going to be very difficult to get. You're going to have to trade like multiples of villagers in order to get those, and they'll be expensive on eBay. I know it. What they should have done with the packs was honestly like split it in half, since it's like literally half the cards are special, half the cards are villagers. That way, it could have been like 3 special cards, 3 villagers, and then the economy would be a lot more stable with this amiibo card set, but nope, it's going to be a mess.
They should
So,
let
Are
you
they
buy.
likely
warning.
to print more of these, or is it just going to be the same print run as before, where you could hardly buy them?
Knowing Nintendo, it's going to be like they're going to be hard to find, as
Yes,
per usual.
because they want to
Great.
They want that scarcity.
that.
Yeah. What they should do is do like what you can do with like Pokemon cards or like Magic, that get like let you just buy a box and you just are guaranteed if you buy this box you'll get one of every card. Okay, you'll have like a million
Yeah.
duplicates, but at least you'll get the cards.
Yeah, I mean,
Just got to find someone that works at Target, right? Who will sell you one of those. Fell off the back of a truck at Target.
I'm going to go every single day now and befriend whoever's working on Friday mornings because that's who's going to hook it up for me. I'll go every day to GameStop too and Best Buy, all of them.
So now that
Hand me
we're
the cards.
now that we're through the actual announcements, we have about 100 questions to get through about this, or comments. So let's jump into them. So this first one comes from Rocky, who wrote it and said, "I thought the Animal Crossing Direct was brilliant. I'm looking forward to the version 2.0 update and the DLC, and I'm looking forward to start playing Animal Crossing New Horizons more again. I've already started playing a bit. I've been tidying my island and started working on a garden for all the new food crops." Okay. Good job.
I love it.
I was giving y'all a chance to. Okay.
Sorry, I got distracted. I was looking up stuff for the next bit. Just keep going.
Nailed it, bud. Nailed it. But yeah. I think you're probably in good company there, Rocky. I imagine a lot of people are getting ready to jump back in. Griffin X wrote in and said, "And the Animal Crossing update looks great. It's not enough for me to pick it back up because I have no time to dedicate to it, and if I did, it would probably only be for a week." And that is what I am afraid of, Griffin X. Is I want to get back into it, but I know that finding the regular time to commit to it is something that's going to take effort, So,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not alone there.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see, we're seeing people who are both excited for this new thing to come and know they're going to be playing a lot, and other people who are like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be logging in. I'd like to, but who knows if I have time for that,
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Especially this fall right now, when this update is coming out, there are so many games.
So many games.
And, I am struggling to get through the games I've already paid for and committed to playing, let alone all the ones I want to play and haven't picked up yet, let alone all the games that are coming out in January, February, March, right as we move into the next year. February is already looking crazy stacked.
Yeah, Elden Ring's in there now.
Yeah.
Got delayed today.
Man.
Horizon is right around there. There's a lot of games in that Q1 window already. So the idea that, Animal Crossing will be a game that a lot of people want to get back to, but maybe just don't find the time for, I could see that, I'm already feeling that way with plenty of games that I have, hands on.
So you're telling us you haven't beaten Metroid Dread yet?
I'm telling you I haven't yet, but I'm trying. I'm still playing. I beat Creed. I got bombs last night, so I'm making progress.
Good.
I'm making progress.
Cool.
All right, this next one comes from Affy Lockhart, one of our Patreon supporters, wrote in and said, "My thoughts on the Direct were just wanting something interesting enough to pull me back into playing Animal Crossing, even though I didn't know what that was. And they absolutely did that in my eyes. I'm now redoing my island to get ready for the update. In terms of the DLC, I'm definitely interested in it because I was in the minority of people that loved Happy Home Designer, and I think I think the way they have brought that back and improved upon it looks like so much fun."
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Like Steve was saying, I like that it's something that's integrated into the game and you access through,
Yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included, I mean, I guess for folks that were maybe not into Happy Home Designer or didn't try it, I remember not doing it because I was this is cool as a feature in an Animal Crossing game, but as the whole game, it's missing the things I want, right? It felt like something that wasn't necessarily, at least in my opinion, right? As somebody who hasn't engaged with it, I didn't feel like that warranted a spin-off. Whereas I was put this as a real feature in a real Animal Crossing game, and I could see myself getting into that, So I'm with you there, where I like that they've
So now
rolled
you
it
got to
in.
put your money where your mouth is, Pete. and
We'll have to see.
and get into it because there's a feature in Animal Crossing now. You know, you gotta at least give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got to at least give it a shot. Macaulay wrote in and said, I think the Happy Home Paradise DLC looks amazing. It adds a whole new dimension to the game. Agreed. Yeah, it will be nice to have something else to do.
Macaulay was watching this with me, and they were like, "Oh, that's cool. I was cooking," and then it got to this bit, and they were like all in on it. Some of their favorite games are stuff like House Flipper. I don't know if either of you have heard of House Flipper, where you buy houses and you do them up and you sell them, and this just has that same kind of vibe to me, which is you get told, I like my stuff like this, and you have to go and do it to the client's specifications and make sure that they like it. So I 100% see Macaulay sinking hundreds of hours into this game, as they have done with Home Flipper.
Yeah, I'll give you the warning right now. Every single character in the game will have an option to design a home for. And then there's like, I don't know how much more endless it'll be with the roommate system as well. So
yeah.
it's literally going to be tons and tons of
the facilities you've got as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot there. There is a lot there. So
I think it's good for the price as well. I mean, $25 for this content, I think is really, really good, in my opinion anyway.
Well, that is a perfect segue to our talking point this week, which is about the pricing of this expansion pack, because a lot of people wrote in with thoughts about this, and I'm interested to talk to you two about it and how you feel about the price, and then kind of hear from some of the folks at home who feel a little bit differently in some cases.
Well, I mean, I think I think what I was talking about was the expansion, the Happy Home Paradise. You can buy it standalone, but at the end of this presentation, they finally announced the pricing for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. It's like very confusingly named. It's typical Nintendo, and the pricing was revealed, and they also revealed that you get the DLC included with that price. It's not just the N64 games and the Mega Drive games that we previously were told. You're now also getting the Happy Home Paradise included as part of that, as long as you obviously have an active subscription, or you can choose to buy it separately. But the pricing was, I guess, a little bit rich for a lot of people. They've doubled the price of the previous plans from... in the UK, it was $17.99 to $34.99, or £60 for the family plan. In the US, it's $80 a year for the family plan. So I guess for me, I don't know that it would be worth it if I wasn't getting the DLC. But I don't know about what you two think.
I don't know. It's a weird thing, right? Like, I think the idea of $50 a year being like an exorbitant amount of money is odd to me. But I say that as somebody who like is privileged and has some expendable income, right? Like $50 is not like, that's a game, right? So like if I play one game, like if I'm playing enough to warrant that, if I'm getting enough out of it to warrant that $50 price point, that's the equation for me, right? And the way that I kind of nickel and dime this for myself is, okay, so it's $80 if I keep the family plan, right? I'll probably actively try to get a few more folks to buy in on it to bring that price down for myself. But even if I don't, the price increase, right, for a bunch of N64 games, a bunch of Genesis games, presumably another 9.9 style NSO game that comes with it, or the Animal Crossing expansion, or whatever else you want to chalk that up to, right? I feel like I will get my money's worth from that one way or the other, right? Whether it's from playing those games, some of those games on stream, getting into the Animal Crossing DLC, whatever, right? Like, for me, as somebody who would probably have bought and tried that DLC anyway, it'll justify itself for at least the year that I pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that, who's to say, And, the thing is, like...
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it.
And everybody's going to look at that differently. Yeah. That's fine. But, I don't know. It's hard for me to look at this and, like, to see how some people have balked at the price. Like, oh, my God, this is way too much. I don't see it that way. But, I don't know. Everybody's going to look
Mhm.
at how much something like this is
I
valuable
can see
differently.
why. Like when you compare it with the other platforms, I can see why people balk at the price, especially considering with this, it brought no improvements to Switch Online. There are no new like Switch Online features like party chat or things like that that we've come to expect from modern game platforms. But they never really pegged it as that. They've always pitched it as you get Switch Online, that's the standard price. It's £17.99 a year if you want to do that, or you can pay monthly. And this is a tack on that gets you content. And I think the expansion pack, like branding, makes a lot more sense now that we know they're adding in DLC and actual expansion packs into this. And presumably this won't be the only one, but I'd like to see them continue to expand it. Obviously, we do know there's more N64 games coming and presumably some more Mega Drive games. I just think it's kind of I guess it is a big ask for. I think the biggest problem I have is the fact that there's no monthly payments for it. It is all or nothing. If you only want to play Ocarina of Time and you don't care about any of the other N64 games and you don't care about the Animal Crossing DLC, you've got to pay £60 for the year, or $50 if it's just like a standard individual person, and you're committed for the entire year when you may have only paid for 1 month, played the game and like jumped out of it. That's what I do with Switch Online. When I'm not playing online, I cancel it because there's no reason for me to keep it.
I think there's definitely a use case where this is a great deal. I think for myself, I'm on a Switch Online family plan with 8 people total. So for us, it's like $10 a year, right? Really great deal considering, alone we could buy the Happy Home stuff for 25 bucks. And obviously that saves you 15 from that on its own, so you might as well get the N64 games and everything on top of that. But I think where I recognize that this is like not appealing to some people is just the fact that there are a lot of people out there that don't have Animal Crossing and don't care about playing it, and even people who do have it who are just like, I don't really need this DLC, right?
Yeah.
It feels like there's this plan that Nintendo came out with, and the people it benefits most are those who are like into Animal Crossing, because I think that's where a lot of the value is in this.
Oh yeah.
I think in order for them to make this a lot more appealing is if the plan itself included other DLC subscriptions to things.
Sure.
Like, say this was the plan to like you could either buy the DLC straight up, or you can just subscribe to this plan and just have it included with your games.
I think it'd have to cost more then, though, is the problem, right? Like the idea of
I don't think it would for like
I
first
don't
party
know if it
games.
would either. Yeah,
I
I think 80 already is like, their services like Game Pass. It's like 15 bucks a month. How much does that come out to? Like 100 and something a year.
sure, but I mean,
I haven't done the math.
I think like making that comparison is like it's apt because like it is another service on the market, but I don't know that it's fair, right? Because like we love to talk about Game Pass. It's the best deal in gaming. It's this, it's that. But like Microsoft is eating loss on Game Pass and has, right, for a long time. Nintendo's not interested or willing to do that, and more importantly, they're not able to do that, right? Microsoft is a multi-billion-dollar company that if the entire Xbox ecosystem dried up tomorrow, Microsoft isn't going anywhere, right? Like games is all Nintendo does, and like they're not.
And movies.
That's true, and movies and toys, and they're
and
not,
theme parks.
and theme parks, I guess. But they're not in the business of trying to build a service, right? Like they're not trying to build a subscription base around Nintendo Switch Online.
I think they are now, though. I think that's what this is play for.
But not in the same way as Game Pass, right? Like
No.
they're not
Yeah, yeah.
analogous. And
that's kind of
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
think they are the same. I think it's the same as Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus. You look at PlayStation Plus, you now get the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yeah.
It comes with a phenomenal amount of first-party games, great games, and yes, most of them are last gen, but Nintendo was selling us games from the 80s with the NES stuff, and it's like I think people are fine with that. and that costs around the same price as the new expansion pass does.
I
Right.
think the
Expansion
big
pack.
difference here is that you still have, if you restrict it to just the paid DLC, you still have people who have to like buy a game in
Buy
order
the
to
game.
experience
Yeah.
this thing, you know?
Which is how Game
And that's
Pass
what I'm looking at.
works.
And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as like you're not getting a full game out of this. You're just getting like, oh, I own this game on Switch. I also get access to the DLC here, you know?
Yeah, and I think the thing I was trying to drive to is that, like, you know, one of the things that I think is interesting about this is like that there's so much conversation about this price point and is it fair, is it not? You know, and Steve, you made the point of saying that part of the reason that you feel like this stings is that it doesn't come with any updates to the base service. You know, it doesn't improve the quality of that. Yeah, but the thing is, if you don't think this is worth the money, don't buy the expansion. Right? Like the overall cost of NSO is not going up if you don't care about any of this stuff. If you don't play Animal Crossing, if you don't care about, you know, as a lot of people have kind of, I think kind of, you know, tried to brush it off like, oh, I don't care about them boxing a bunch of ROMs for me. Cool. Then don't increase your spend. No one's making you do that. Right? For the folks that do feel.
I get that. I kind of feel though that maybe these things should be separate and piecemeal, because I feel like a lot of people are in one camp or the other. It's like, I really love Animal Crossing and I'm happy that this DLC comes with it, but I don't care about the N64 games. That was before my generation, before my time. I don't care about those. And then there's a bunch of other people in the other camp of the N64. I'm so excited I can finally play Ocarina of Time, but I don't care about Animal Crossing. And it kind of feels like both sides are inflating the price for the other. It's like, oh, well, you know, the N64 games
And
wouldn't necessarily be this expensive if it didn't include the Animal Crossing DLC.
I mean,
and I'll
maybe,
say
but.
one camp,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chuy.
I was just gonna say one camp is definitely benefiting a little bit more, where Animal Crossing fans, if they don't care about that stuff, they do have the option to just buy
Yes.
the
Yeah,
expansion
that's
for
true.
that
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
And I guess that's where it's a little tough for me to swallow, is this idea that, like, yes, I care enough about playing N64 games that I want them on Switch, but I don't feel that spending an additional $20 is worth it, is kind of nuts to me. That you're like, oh, like these 15 N64 games are like not worth $20, and it's like, did you really want to play them that badly then? Like, you know, like you gotta, you know, I don't know, like stuff costs money. You know, and like the amount that you're
There's no Diddy
spending.
Kong Racing yet.
I'm sorry,
There's no Diddy Kong Racing yet. Come on.
not yet, but maybe it's down the line. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you know, like point being, right?
I think
like,
at the moment though, like,
sorry, we got a bit of a delay
I was just
here.
gonna say, I think at the moment though, I think it's fair to say that this might not be the best deal, but I think if you look at Switch Online, they've proven that they do continue to add stuff, and I think, you know, there might not be a game in that N64 lineup that really was the one you wanted to be there, and there might not be, you might not really be into Mega Drive. You might have wanted the Game Boy games to launch here first. And I think all of that's probably going to come at some point. Like the Game Boy games have got to launch. The rumor about the N64 and the expansion pack was true, and the pricing seems to be bang on that it's double the price. So the rumor
More
of the
than
Game Boy
double.
games is probably, yeah, more than double. And not in the UK. It's a little bit cheaper than double in the UK, which is good. We didn't get stoned for once.
Real quick, I'm gonna just change the region right now before we
Okay.
keep going, because we're real close to the end, and it's starting to get in our way here.
Did that do anything?
It did not. It's not changing. There we go.
It's done something now.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I can.
No, now it's really laggy.
Oh no, it's worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we were just interrupting each other a lot there.
That was horrendous.
Are we good?
I think it's okay now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
What I was going to say, so someone pick up from me.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, here, I'll use it. So that's actually a good opportunity, I think, to transition into some of the questions we got here. This first one comes from friend of the show, Sierra Plus Ultra, who's also one of our Patreon supporters, who wrote in and said, do you think Nintendo will add more DLC to the expansion pack, possibly explaining the price point, or do you think this pricing is based on the content already announced? I think it's both. Like, I don't think that this is an unfair price. Like, this is what you would spend on the Animal Crossing DLC anyway, and you get the Nintendo 64 games and the Genesis games. To me, that's a good deal if you were already going to get this Animal Crossing DLC. And I think if you weren't...
And that's a big if for a lot of people.
Sure, but I would argue if you weren't, I don't think it's insane to ask for $12 for both of those libraries. I really don't. You were spending $10 per N64 game on Wii U. So that's really not an insane price point. It's not. So I think, like, with that in mind, if you know, what Sierra's asking here does come to pass, right? Where, like, we do get another, you know, Pac-Man, Tetris 99 style game. We get another game's DLC maybe added. We get whatever else that sweetens the pot. I think this only becomes a better price point over time, and it becomes easier to swallow.
I just realized what they could... Oh, man, they're not going to do this. All of these, like, 99 games and stuff, they've all been kind of, you know, old school iterations of those. If they did N64 iterations of those type of games, that would be wild.
Smash 99.
They should
Smash
probably
99.
bundle. They should probably bundle in the DLC that you can buy for those as part of the Switch Online expansion pass.
That would be
'Cause
good.
It's like you can buy it anyway. The big block DLC for Tetris 99. I'm sure Pac-Man had one as well that unlocked different modes. Just why not do the free version as part of the low end tier, as you have been doing? Gets people to buy the subscription because you have to have it anyway in order to play the game, and then upsell them to the expansion pack.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to handle it.
Point too. I'll say, I don't know, I kind of expect them to add some more DLC to this that is just
Me
like
too.
accessible through it.
Yeah,
I think there's gonna be loads of it. I think this is kind of their strategy now. I really do. I think they've opened the floodgates, because if any game was going to sell DLC, it was going to be Animal Crossing. People will buy that like no tomorrow. So why include that as for free if you're not trying to build out a subscription service?
I mean, that's the thing though, right? Is like they're not including it for free. Like they're like literally either way they're getting the same amount of money from you. It's just a matter of like, do we lock you into this subscription service annually, or do you buy this a la carte? And I feel like if they continue to do that, it will be a thing where you'll be like, oh yeah, that $25 a year or less, if you get people to buy in on a family plan, looks more and more attractive. You know,
$10 a year with 8 people, it's a good deal.
It is. Yeah, if you can get it to that, right? And that's the thing.
Just got to know 8 people, and I only know you 2, so it's really difficult.
Well, that's what the Discord is for, right? Doc got you in on
Joking.
that.
Doc hooked me up. It was great.
Yeah, I need to get folks on mine. That's what I got to do now.
I've got a second one, and I'm just like, ooh, do I get 2 family plans, expansion packs? I don't know.
You're a wild man, Chewy. You're like, I got 3 Switches and 2 family plans. Beautiful. All right, this one comes from Christian Oliveria, who finally got to write into the show because apparently Patreon's just been throwing your comments in the void. Thank you for being a Patreon producer, Christian. We really appreciate you. Christian wrote in and said, my thoughts on NSO. I know not everyone has a large group of people to band together, but my friends have been splitting a Nintendo Switch Online family plan 8 ways since day one, paying less than $4 each annually. $10 a person now is very reasonable for what we're getting. As with anything, if you don't see the value, you don't need to buy it, especially here where it's an add-on bonus where online play isn't being locked away. Still, I'd be on board for a solo $50 sub. I agree. Christian went on to say, I'll agree Nintendo's online services are terrible, and after the first few months, their NES, SNES offerings dried up. It's infuriating, but most of us are still going to subscribe to this. It shows that the fan fervor is what I think you meant there, is hot air. Oh, no, it is Furor. I'm sorry. All right. The fan fury is hot air, is I guess what you're trying to say there. And you can chalk it up to genuine quality or childhood nostalgia, but it proves the point that Nintendo's back catalog offers a value proposition that Xbox and PlayStation simply don't have. I wish they would do better, but they don't need to compete on price, services, or quantity. And you're totally right, Christian. I agree with you. I agree with your initial point about this not being as gross as some people want to make it out to be. But I also agree that you're right that Nintendo's online services are not good, and they get away with this because people care about the games and the IP, and we keep biting.
Which sucks. It really does suck that they can get away with it because the services are absolutely terrible. I was playing some Clubhouse games online. I was playing bloody Yahtzee. It lags. Why does Yahtzee lag when I'm playing it online? It's ridiculous. It really should not be like that. But at one point on the NES and SNES offerings drying up, I kind of don't think they're going to do that with the N64 because the expanded price seems to open up their ability to license games, which was the problem with the NES and the SNES. They had so many games from third-party companies that they couldn't bring over because they just weren't willing to license their game. No Capcom games, no Square games, no Enix games. None of them made it onto the Switch Online service. That could well happen now with...
I hope so.
Yeah,
that would
the
be
Microsoft
huge.
stuff's there, so the possibility is there for other games.
Yeah, it is, and that would be fucking huge. Like if now because it costs more, they're like, hey, Mega Man 1 through 7 are coming over, right? And like Castlevania and like all these other games that you think of as some of the iconic pieces of software that we just don't have access to. That would be really nice. Even if they were limited to the expansion pack, like. I could swallow that. A lot of people probably couldn't.
Too, yeah.
But, you know.
No, I would absolutely be fine with that. I think like I've said, my biggest issue with it is the pricing, not being able to do it monthly. I think that sucks, and it is just them trying to lock you in for a year, so you don't even get to try the service to see if it is for you. You just have to just suck it up and pay the $60 a year, and I can't agree with that. I just don't think it's the right move, especially when every other service allows you to pay monthly. And the fact that if you're only interested in one side of the expansion, specifically the N64 side, as Chuy has mentioned, the whole you can buy it separately, I think it should be cheaper for the N64 stuff personally, but that's just my thoughts on it.
It would be nice if you had the option. But then it also becomes this thing of like we were already making fun of them for how like convoluted this is on paper, and then it's like
tiers. Yeah.
There's like 5 tiers now. Do you want N64? Do you want Genesis? Do you want both? Do you want both and the Animal Crossing DLC? Do you want all 3 and then all future? You know, it's like at some point you got to just draw the line somewhere, and like, you know, it doesn't feel good, but it's business. You know. Nintendo's trying to squeeze as much money out of you as they can, right? Let's make no bones about it.
They're succeeding.
Absolutely. You know, I'll never forget. I think of this every time Nintendo puts out something like this that's like that people like argue is unreasonably priced, and I'm like, it's not that bad. Is this tweet from a comedian who I really like? His name's escaping me right now. It'll come to me in a minute. And he was tweeting about how Nintendo, we can charge you literally anything we want because we hold the key to the only happy memories from your childhood. Yeah, a little bit, you know? So, speaking of, this next one comes from Griffin X again, who wrote in and said, I'm not picking up the NSO expansion pack. No C. And very important that they spelled it with PAK. And ridiculous, frankly, that Nintendo
honestly,
didn't.
Missed a trick. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
What a missed opportunity.
Especially considering there was an N64 expansion pack with no C that you had to buy to play specific games. Why not reuse that? But I miss the days when it was a game pack and not a game card. All of that stuff is gone. It's sad.
Yeah. I'll be waiting for Paper Mario and Majora's Mask before I pay for it. And only because my original N64 has issues with rebooting. The price is steep for what you get, but it does bring online closer to the other system's online service. But it does? Do you mean doesn't?
No, it does, because you get like games with gold and PS Plus games.
All right.
Like that.
I see what you're
saying. So it's closer to what you would get with the competitors.
Sure. But it is reasonable if you're interested in the AC DLC. Speaking of, I really like how they are doing a paid DLC. I am interested in what new things they'll try in the future. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you there as well. Like, I want to see Nintendo experiment more with paid DLC. I feel like, generally speaking, it's something that they don't do that often. but when they have done it, it's pretty much exclusively been good. Like, you know, I think the Smash season passes have been a lot of fun. Obviously, the Mario Kart 8 DLC that they did was great. That was like their first foray into DLC.
Well,
really.
oh yeah, the Mercedes cars. I really needed those.
Oh well, no, those were free. But I mean, like they added Link, they added the villagers, like
the Animal Crossing one. Yeah,
so many courses. The F-Zero course, the Excite Bike course. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that they added there.
Yeah, that was cool. I do think
Splatoon 2's DLC was great too.
Yeah,
love that.
It was, yeah. But I kind of feel the Breath of the Wild one missed the mark for me a little bit in places.
I agree.
It's just like the motorbike breaks the game. The fact that it has to show loading screens if you whiz around too quickly. The hero's map should have been in the base game to show you where you'd been. It was like stuff that shouldn't have been paid for.
See, I don't necessarily agree with that because there's a lot of content there. I don't know. It didn't.
I didn't care about the story. That's not what I went to the game for, and I think that's part of the problem. It was like more story stuff. Yeah. I went there for the exploration, and they never added anything new really for me to explore.
All right, so this next one comes from Ray from the community, trademark. Appreciate that we just call Ray from the. It's like I don't think there's another Ray in the community. We could just say Ray.
I said it on the show because I'm good friends with Ray, and his joke is that every time I mention him as Ray from the community. Like if I'm doing something, or if like we're talking about like Ray did our artwork for Nintendo Noise, by the way, it's awesome. Then we call him Ray from the community. I've said it like twice on the show. And now he's changed his name to this in Discord, and that's permanently what he's going to be referred to now. It's just Ray from the community. I'm going to change his name on my phone to Ray from the community trademark.
He should change that to his. That should be his name on Twitter. Ray parentheses from the community. Which community? Who's to say?
Your government documents at this point.
Depot.
Anyway, Ray wrote it and said, I like what they added to Animal Crossing, and I think it's all good content, but without the paid DLC, it's not really enough to tempt me to come back and play more on its own. That said, the paid DLC itself probably isn't something I'd want to pay £25 for, honestly. I didn't really like the look of Happy Home Designer, so I skipped the 3DS game, and I figure I'll skip this too for the same reason. But for those who like that game, £25 does seem like a great deal. Likewise, in terms of the NSO expansion pack pricing, if you were going to get the AC DLC anyway, then sure, this is a decent deal if you don't mind renting the DLC annually. If you weren't going to get the AC DLC already, or if you're not cool with needing to rent it annually, hell nah, huge no from me. It's pretty much double the price, and they aren't adding anything other than some N64 and Genesis ROMs. The fact there's only annual pricing as well, it's just such a big ask for something I really don't think it is worth it to me personally. Until they add some genuinely useful features to online, maybe stuff that really should be standard at this point, like party chat, etc. I'll be sticking with my $3.99 for a month in the unlikely event I want to play something online, maybe 2 or 3 times a year plan. I think that's reasonable. I don't agree with you, but I think if that's how you feel, you're handling it the right way, right? And I think that there are probably a lot of people that feel that way. But I think I really do take issue with the narrative of like, oh, all they're doing is like dumping some ROMs. Like they're also adding online features and like setting up servers for these games. Like that's not, I don't know. Like
they're definitely not setting up servers for the games. All of their online shit is peer to peer. Right?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair enough.
Servers, but not the kinds that we need.
Yeah, fair enough. But point being, right? Like you couldn't play those games online before, and now you can. That didn't take no work.
And that is awesome. That is awesome to be able to play. Yeah, the original Mario Kart 64 or Mario Party 2 or whatever on online with friends.
Yeah.
We've got to stream those. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Or like Smash. Like I definitely want to stream the original Smash. Like doing some multiplayer with that will be so fun. And that's the thing, right? Is like, you know, those things take resources. Whether or not you feel like it's worth what they're charging for them, that's your prerogative as a consumer, right? And I think you're making the right choice, right? You're speaking with your wallet. But yeah, the attitude that it's like, oh, all they did was like dump ROMs on the Switch is like, I think that's a little bit disingenuous. You know, you're fine to not want to spend that money on a bunch of ROMs, but you know, I don't think it's quite as simple as them dragging and dropping them on the Switch and being like, here you go, right? Like, work went into making these what they are, you know, the package that we're getting now, rather than just here's the game again. So you know, you've got to decide whether or not that's worth it for you.
I'm so curious to see how the Mario 64 in the Switch Online service compares with the Mario 64 and the 3D All Stars, and someone's going to do a video, right, to see if there's any differences, how the emulator runs, if there's any like different like patches in terms of like text and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what the difference is, because presumably it would be the same emulator, right? Because it's from
You have to imagine.
the same people did the emulation for the 3D All Stars that made the original NES and SNES emulators.
Yeah, I would have to imagine it's using the same tech, but there are folks who are gonna. Digital Foundry will have you covered on that one, right? Like,
most likely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this last question comes from Trendy Brendy, one of our Patreon supporters, who wrote in and said, I think the Animal Crossing DLC is good and at a fair price point, considering Happy Home Designer on 3DS was a full-price game. And if Happy Home Paradise was going to become a full game, you'd have to wonder if that would take any resources from Splatoon 3 or other games that the studio is working on. That said, though, I'm not interested in that DLC, which makes the expansion pack nowhere near worth it for me. I got NSO because I wanted to play Pokemon Online, and the NES, Super Nintendo games were a neat little bonus on top. I'm not personally willing to pay more than double that to play more games I don't own, especially when I can pay to own Genesis games in the big collection title. And I'm going to get flack for this, but whatever. I don't have N64 nostalgia. I've played like maybe 5 games in its library, but the price hike is way too big to jump to when I don't know if I'll enjoy the games. That's fine. You shouldn't get flack for that, right? Like, everybody grows up with different consoles. Fine. That's cool, right? Like, I do have nostalgia for the N64, right? And, I want to dig into some of these games again. I want to play them with you guys. Like, I want to stream them. But, I don't decry anybody for not feeling that way. It's the same argument with the N64 Super Nintendo stuff, right? Like, I think it's insane that people argue that the $20 a year is not worth it, right? I think that's an insane argument. I really do. But that's for me, right? For me, the few times a year I want to play online and the mileage I've gotten out of going back and playing the NES and SNES classics that I love was worth it for that price point for me, right? But if you aren't going to play those games and you have no interest in playing those games and you don't play games online, then why would you pay for it, right? Like, that's a totally reasonable argument. And I think the same thing applies here.
Or if you only play free-to-play games, there's tons of people that just play Fortnite and never ever pay for Switch Online because it's free.
Yeah.
And you can play online with friends for free without having a subscription, which is great. I will say, though, again, just hammering this point home, if they had monthly pricing, Brandy, you might be able to go in and see if you would enjoy those 5 games in their library. If you paid $5 or $6 a month and was just like, no, you know what, these games aren't for me. But you might have got hooked on Ocarina of Time and wanted to continue your subscription for a few more months, but you're not willing to make the jump for $50 a year, and I think that's absolutely fine.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, right, is like, there's nothing wrong with feeling like this isn't worth your money. I think it's when people pick fights over things and are like, this isn't worth anyone's money. Well, I mean, that's not really your place to decide, right? I don't think that this is an outrageous ask, but you've got to make that call for yourself. And I think what's good here is that this isn't an across-the-board hike. If Nintendo was just like, hey, this is what NSO costs now because we're adding all those things, I would be right there with you in terms of like, this is unacceptable. But the fact that it's very easy for you to continue paying your $20 so that you can play Pokemon Online or whatever other game you want that you need online for. Great, you have that option. You can do that.
I think part of the problem is we had it so good at the beginning, right? Until for like 2 years we weren't paying for Switch Online, and we were able to hop on to Splatoon and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and just play for free, and it was fabulous. And we thought, when we pay for Switch Online, everything's going to get so much better. All of these connection problems in Splatoon are going to be gone, and friend codes will be gone, and we'll have party chat and all of this stuff, and nothing happened, and all we got was NES and SNES games that, as Christian said, dried up after a month.
Yeah,
so I'm pleased to finally have something new and fresh, but it sucks that original subscription just stagnated and there's nothing new been added for months.
And you know what, man? Fair play, right? Like, I don't begrudge anyone for feeling that way. Nintendo's online services are not good. But I will say this to play devil's advocate, and it's the same thing I say after every Nintendo Direct. Nobody told you that that was happening. We did that, right? We all hyped ourselves and hyped each other. Can you imagine if Nintendo did this? They're not going to do those things. It's Nintendo. And that's not an excuse. It's just a reality, right? Like, that's how they operate. That's how they've always operated. And it's how they're going to continue to operate probably for the foreseeable future, right? Until the market forces them to not act that way. And seemingly, they can skate by on the fact that people love their hardware and they love their software for a long time. We've given Nintendo an insane amount of rope. We give them a level of rope we wouldn't give to PlayStation or Xbox. It is what it is, you know, and like, that's not maybe fair, but here we are, right? And you can bet your bottom dollar that when this time of year rolls around, I'm upgrading and we're going to stream those games, and, you know, it is what it is, you know, and I think if you...
Yeah, it'll be next week. Next Thursday, I expect we'll be playing some of these games online, right?
Probably, right? Yeah. So, you know, if you feel like that's not for you, you speak with your wallet. And hopefully enough people will agree with you that Nintendo changes course. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to play out that way.
Oh, man, it's so close. I'm pumped.
It is close.
Yeah, it launches on Monday. So if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it launches on Monday.
Check that out. If you're so inclined, you know, not here to shill. I'm not the shill police anymore, you know. Wait, so am I the police of people shilling, or am I shilling because I'm the...
Honestly, I wrote it. It didn't make sense to me, but I thought, you know what? I'm committed.
I appreciate that, Chuy. I appreciate the commitment to the bit, if for nothing else.
It's Pete's cop energy. That's what it is. Like,
wow.
Totally.
Wow, Steve. That was fucking offensive. Been working together for 2 years. I've never been so offended.
2 years is more like getting on for 3 at this point, right?
That makes it worse.
I know. See, I know what buttons to press, right? I know. You hate police.
Thank you. I just want that to be clear.
Abundantly.
Oh, man. That's why they got rid of Booker and what's his name from Animal Crossing, you know? ACAB,
sure
even
did.
Booker.
Oh, it's a shame.
Anyway, if you guys want to weigh in on this or any of their stuff we talked about today, I mean, y'all already did, but if anybody missed writing in about this and you've got some hot takes you want to hear on the show next week, remember you can write in and be part of our main topic, or shoot us an original question for the question block segment by writing into us at questions@flipscreen.games. Coming and joining our Discord, where we always keep the conversation rolling after the episode. Every week, we discuss every episode in its own thread. We source questions there every week. It's the easiest way to come, connect with us, connect with other members of the community. We have a safe, inviting, and welcoming community for anybody who wants to come and talk games, as long as you're nice and not a jerk. So come be a part of it. Come be a part of what we're building here. Come chat with the folks that you hear from on this show every week. They're there. You can come meet them too. And I'm going to reissue this challenge if some of you did it, and I appreciate this. If you're a listener and you've never written in before, write in. We got some new blood on this week's show, and I really appreciated that, right? So keep it coming. Keep it coming, folks. We want to
Maybe they have been, but Patreon's just been deleting.
That's a good point. And that's the other thing, right? If you've been writing in and we're not reading it, it's because we're not seeing it. So hit us up, all right? Like if you get us in one of those ways and it's not coming through, hit us up at the email. We get every email. We read every email, right? So if you have any support that you need because our platforms are failing you, that is the best way to get in touch. So make sure you do that. And then, of course, you can head over to flipscreen.games. We got links to all the other stuff that we do all over the web, including the Patreon, which is, of course, the best way to show your support. Thank you again to everybody who does show their support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. If you want to show your support for the show and get some cool perks, that's the best way to do it, so go head over there. But even if you don't have any bucks to toss our way, there's a lot of ways that you can support the show. Let people know that we're out here, that you listen to the show, that you enjoy what we're doing, that you are a member of the community, and that you've had fun here, and that you think they might too. That is a huge solid you can do for us, and it doesn't cost you a dime. So yeah, thank you all for joining us here in another episode of Nintendo Noise. I've been Pete. He's been Chuy. He's been Steve. And we've been Nintendo Noise. We'll see you next week. I didn't salute. Bye.